Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing a reaction to Paul Saladino's morning routine video, and I am only going to be focusing on the food because that has everything to do with being anti-vegan. He is one of the biggest anti-vegan channels out there on YouTube. He actually pays and encourages people to pay for rape, torture, and murder with their food choices. So I'm only going to be focusing on the food, and I will be stopping the video every few minutes or seconds depending on what I have to say. So first we're going to see his pre-workout smoothie.
So, all right, breakfast is a raw milk smoothie. So we're going to do raw milk, raw cow's milk.
Okay, so we are not off to a good start. He not only is he paying for cows to be raped and little baby animals to be shot in the head, he is also promoting raw dairy, and there are a lot of diseases that you can get from raw dairy, including bovine tuberculosis. And he is promoting that. He's drinking it himself, but he's also promoting it to his followers. And this is dangerous. You could get bovine TB from this. This is not something you should be ingesting. Pasteurization helps get rid of some of the diseases that these bovines, have, but you shouldn't even be drinking milk anyway because, it supports rape and infanticide. But so first off, not a good start.
I've got whole package from Heart and Soil Supplements, colostrum, Heart and Soil Supplements. Got some honey from Lineage, creatine from Lineage, and we'll do some frozen blueberries.
Okay, so his supplement, he has a lot of supplements in his smoothie, his own supplement, and I think the Heart and Soil and stuff, I think that actually has animal carcass in it. It's made of animal carcass. It's not just like the brand. It is animal carcass. So he murdered an animal for his supplements. He had an animal murdered. And then he took more supplements, probably in the form of, animal abuse. And then he has bee vomit and bee spit in the form of, he calls it honey, but it's bee vomit and bee spit. But then he had to add some fruit for antioxidants. Um, I think blueberries are great, but it's not going to undo the cruelty and the cholesterol and the sugar that is coming in from the honey.
You cannot tell me that any sort of green smoothie, gross green smoothie that you or someone you know is touting or getting all hyped about is better than this.
Yes, I can. Green smoothies are high in antioxidants. I guess what I eat in the morning would be considered a green smoothie because I do put kale in it. And kale is a cruciferous vegetable that, as Americans, we are not getting enough of in our diet. And he is promoting people not to eat the cruciferous vegetables. And the green smoothies are also better, especially if they're vegan. Usually they're vegan. And, calves don't have to be shot in the head. And, bees don't have to be exploited for their honey. And, cows don't have to be raped. So they're better in that way, too.
Raw milk, glyphosate-free honey, creatine, liver, testicle, in capsule form. You don't taste it, obviously, guys. Colostrum, this is what's up. I'm serious. This crushes your green smoothie in the morning. I have carbohydrates first thing. I don't worry about honey. Like I said, I eat tons of honey, and I don't have any cavities because I'm eating raw milk and meat and eggs, and I am, stressing out your neighborhood vegan with all that food, and I'm proud of it.
Okay, let's take the animal cruelty out of the equation real quick. He is eating and promoting the foods that cause disease, such as cancer and heart disease and other diseases. But cancer and heart disease and diabetes are the biggest causes of disease for Americans. He is targeting this for Americans, even though he's living in Costa Rica. His videos are in English, and he is eating and promoting it to his followers. This is not good at all.
It's really good not to be a vegan. So some of my favorite stories when people tell me that they were vegan, they saw some of my content or some other person's content and now they eat meat. That makes me feel like we're doing God's work in the world. So cheers to not being a vegan.
Okay, I know I said that this was going to be about food related, but when I was editing this and seeing, where the food parts were, I saw he did a segment on telling people in this video, he told people not to wear sunscreen. This is dangerous. When I was really young, my mother got skin cancer from not wearing sunscreen. She's really fair skinned and she got skin cancer and they had to cut in her leg. And I believe they had to go all the way down to the bone. They had to take a lot of stuff out. It was a little spot, but they had to cut big down and she has to go and check it every time. And he is promoting this to his large audience. This is dangerous. And on another video, he talks about how he does not use toothpaste um, and to brush his teeth or any type of tooth uh, cleaning thing. That is also dangerous because teeth. Your problems with your teeth can cause other issues, and it's not fun to deal with that. And he's using his authority as a doctor to spread this information, which is really, really dangerous. So let's get on with the food.
All right, guys, we're back from surf. I'm going to show you what I make for breakfast. I'm going to start with some grass-fed ground beef, the hero, the old standby. Let's go. I like 80-20 ground beef. It's from a local farm. You guys can see how fatty that is. If your ground beef doesn't look like that, what are you doing? Why are you eating ground beef that's too lean, guys? What are you, crazy? And I don't skimp on the size of the burgers either. I'm just feeding myself this morning, so I'm going to make one burger. I prefer to make the burgers fresh. So let's say, it's probably like an 8-ounce burger. That's a big burger. I'll go light the grill, and we'll get to cooking, and I'll make some other stuff. All right, so post-surf breakfast / lunch. Got grass-fed beef burger, about 18 ounces. Got a cucumber, got a cantaloupe, got the guanabana. Last thing is I put a little bit of salt, put a lot of salt on the burger, and voila.
Okay, I did not know that beef could be grass-fed. I knew that cows could be grass-fed, but I didn't think that beef, that meat that he was eating, could feed on grass. I just knew that cows could do that until they're murdered for people like him to ingest. And he is getting a vegetable. I think he's considering it a fruit, but it's actually a vegetable by the way we cook it. So he's getting cucumber from the vegetable, but it's mostly just he's had so much cholesterol in this just for breakfast, and then he is adding a lot of salt to his food. And I believe that the animal carcass that he's eating they have to preserve it. I bet it has a lot of salt added. I know that chicken carcass does, but I'm not sure. Probably, you know, the cow carcass does as well. And of course, he has to make a jab at vegans because he's very anti-vegan. So let's see what he says about vegans.
Cheers, God. It's really good not to be a vegan. So some of my favorite stories when people tell me that they were vegan, they saw some of my content or some other person's content and now they eat meat. That makes me feel like we're doing God's work in the world. So cheers to not being a vegan.
Well, of course, they failed because they were probably raw vegan. And if you just eat, greens, raw nuts, raw seeds, raw fruit, raw vegetables, you're going to, first of all, get really bored. That just sounds like a very boring diet. And you're going to get, you know, not get a lot of nutrients that cooked vegetables and grains and rice and beans give you. Um, and a lot of these raw vegans, such as Paul Saladino, I don't even like to use the word vegans because they were never vegan, they were just plant based. Um, it was never about the animals for people like them. That is why it's so easy now. He is just, promoting rape, torture, and murder to his audience. And he doesn't do any good with his content. He's just showing off his life in Costa Rica, and the only good thing he's doing is suing Frank Tefano. So I will see you all in the next video. I'm not sure what that will be. Maybe talk about gardening. I've been gardening a lot, so maybe talk about gardening. So I will see you on the next video, whatever that is. Bye bye.